All right, guys. So first and foremost, the speaker tonight, hold on a second. There we go. The speaker tonight is someone that I have looked up to since I started coaching 4.5 years ago. I remember being at NLC and his wife was a speaker the year that I went in 2018. I was like 8 months pregnant with Barrett, and I flew without asking my doctor to LA. And I remember meeting her face to face in the gym that morning and just like talking to her and looking up to her so much. And then we actually got to walk across stage together last year as 7-star diamonds together at Summit. And since then, her and Jamie have both locked in superstar diamonds. So I got some catching up to do, but we don't compare ourselves in this business. But needless to say, I just really admire their work ethic, their energy, everything they stand for in this business, and the way that they do things. Jamie will probably tell you a few snippets of his story, but he got started first, actually, and then his wife, Kim, watched him for a couple months before she decided to join. So the opposite of most of our stories. Jamie's been the top male coach for 4+ years. He was a top 10 coach. Kim is currently top 10 and pushing hard to lock that in the next 2 weeks. They have 2 children, 9 and 12 years old. Jamie's been 5-time elite coach. Him and his wife are the only couple to ever both be superstar diamonds. They're hoping to both be top 10 very soon. Like I said, Jamie's been the top male coach. They've been the top coaches in Canada for quite a few years as well. And they are recipients of the CEO award last summit. They got that award. He's actually on the coach advisory board, and they are legacy club members. And I just love the crap out of me some Fitzpatricks. So without further ado, I am going to give Jamie the floor so he can pour into us on this last week of the craziest year of our lives. And get your pens and paper ready because there's going to be lots of bombs dropped.
Wow. How are you? Hi, Brett.
Hi. We are good.
Cool. That is a long list of stuff that it's funny, right? When you do these calls and they ask you for a list and you give it, I'll be honest with you, I don't, and maybe this is human nature and what I'm going to talk about tonight, we're going to get into goals and vision and all that stuff, but I'm going to share with you some things about myself that you might not know and some things that you might know, because my real goal with this and my goal whenever I speak with people is I'm really trying to empower you, because I feel like if you get off this call and don't feel empowered to take action, I probably haven't done my job very well. Because I can come on here and give you inspiration and all that. And I'm good at inspiration. I'm great at doing the rah thing and quote unquote telling you to work harder, which I probably will at some point. But ultimately, if I really don't get you to take action or maybe different action from what you're doing, then I kind of feel like I haven't really done what I'm supposed to do. But seeing that list of things, it's like, it's like a little bit imposter syndrome, and everyone gets that. I don't, it's not that I don't feel worthy of some of those titles, but I don't think about them. I don't base a value on myself on them at all. I don't think in those terms, but what I will say is that I'm probably not qualified for all those things. And I don't think any of us, whatever that means to you, I don't think any of us are, because I can be very self-deprecating. And I do that for a few reasons. It's like a defense mechanism. We all have our insecurities and stuff like that. But I think, and I'm going to talk about some of my superpowers, which makes me sound like a douchebag, but I'm not. But I'm going to talk about them. But I think for me, like I think I'm really self-aware, and I think I have a really good handle on. There's a couple things I do really well, and there is a shit long list of things I'm just not very good at. And I think for me, and I think part of success, whatever you deem that in this business especially, is you understanding that don't worry about the things you may not be that great at or you feel like is a weakness for yourself. And my encouragement for you is to really focus on things that you're strong at. And that's what I try to do. I grew up in like Northern Canada, so I grew up in a place where literally it was like, right, I'm in Toronto now, which is on sort of the east side of Canada. And we're sort of like, hear my accent come out there, Canada. We're like the same latitude as Northern California almost in Toronto. We're close to Detroit, Buffalo. Um, but where I grew up on the West Coast, we were like up north where you had snow and it was crazy. And I grew up in a very small town. And you know that, the Good Will Hunting, one of my favorite movies, right? Good Will Hunting. And you know when him and I don't know what's his girlfriend, Molly, what's her name? Minnie Driver. Anyway, they're sitting at the table and he's doing her homework for her because he's so smart, and she's like asking him, she's asking him, how do you do it? Like, how does your mind work that way where it takes her a couple days to do something, and for him it takes him a couple minutes and he figures it out. And um, that was certainly not me with stuff, but with sports growing up, that's what I attached myself to. And you know where he says in the movie, it's like he explains to her, he's like, I don't know why I can do the things I can do. He goes, I could just always play. And for me with sports, that was always the case for me. And so sorry, my dog's barking. So I gravitated towards that as a kid. I could just always play, whether it was baseball or hockey and stuff. And if I'm being brutally honest with you guys, I had a lot of insecurities growing up about my intelligence. I remember freaking out because I think it was like grade 11, thinking I could not understand how a mortgage worked, because we were in economics class, and I was literally like, these were the things I would worry about growing up, is how does a mortgage work? What's interest? Like, these were things that kept me up at night. I could always play sports, but those parts of myself, and my brother Mike, who's a coach on our team, a successful coach, he can like, you could give him an old style radio clock and he could dismantle it and put it back to you, like, super intelligent guy. And I always just felt lacking in those parts of my life. Like, I had a lot of those things. I'm literally of mediocre intelligence, and I'm not kidding. Like, I know everyone always like, oh, mediocre, but I'm really like mediocre intelligence. I'm horribly organized. Literally, I have probably 4 of Moira's Rise Up journals, kind of written in, half done, like a shit job by myself. So I kind of use a notebook, and like, even in this notebook, I kind of have what I'm doing every day. I've got some stocks that I'm going to buy tomorrow. I've got the notes I made for this call, but I'm horribly organized. Mediocre intelligence. I don't actually think I'm that good at any one thing. I really believe I lack in certain things. Like, obviously, hope you figured out by now I'm a dude. It is a bit of a female business, and I'm sure there's times with my coaches where I probably lack some empathy and things like that. I think that leads me to attract a certain type of coach. I have more men than probably most Beachbody coaches, but still 99% of my coaches are women, and I attract a certain type of woman, I think, because of who I am and stuff. But I do lack in those components of stuff. And if you ask me, like, I understand the comp plan, I understand genealogy, but there's also there's parts that I really don't get and stuff like that. I remember I taught high school for 7 years, a long time ago, because I'm older than most of you. And like, my teaching practicum, when I was in university, I think I was 20 years old. I graduated when I was 17, because I was December baby. And the guy who was evaluating me while I was in university on my first teaching practicum, literally, when I was done, pulled me aside, and he's like, Jamie, and he was this old curmudgeon. You could tell he had about 3 years left to teach. Awful teacher. And I knew that when I was 20 and I hadn't even taught a class yet. Grumpy. He literally said to me, he's like, you should probably change professions. He's like, you're a horrible speaker. You're going to have trouble in parent interviews with your students' kids because you can't speak very clearly or well. Your grammar is atrocious. Like imagine saying that to I'm in like my last year of university trying to become a teacher. And that F's with you a little bit because growing up with some of those insecurities and then that thing and other things that would happen and stuff. So I just want to tell you, like, it's funny that list that you do and stuff like that. And Kim and I have a big team and we have a lot of success and stuff like that. But I don't think it's because of a specific skill set. I don't think it's clearly not because my IQ is higher than anyone else's. It's not my organizational skills. Like I said, I lack in a lot of areas. But there's a few things I feel like I do that literally make a world of difference. You might want to call them superpowers. I don't know. Maybe they're not superpowers. But number one, I honestly, and I mean this with all my heart, there are no F's given with me about what other people think. It is a massive advantage I have over a lot of people, because I think what happens is you consciously and subconsciously, you change how you behave on social media. You change the portrayal of like who you actually are. I say to my coaches all the time when we talk about inviting, I said it on the last team call we had, or when you're doing stories on Instagram, like when you're on your stories or speaking on social media, or when someone connects with you, because when I started, we didn't have Instagram stories. It's a huge advantage now, right? People get to actually know you. Are you like, and I will call my coaches out. I will literally take a screenshot of them and go, you are freaking acting. Why are you not acting like, why are you not being yourself? And I always say to them, I'm like, pretend on social media or pretend in stories like you literally are walking into your friend's house telling them something. That is like would you ever, and I'm not making fun of anyone, I'm not saying any of you are doing this, but like, would you ever you show up at your girlfriend's house for dinner, there's 5 of your best friends, like, would you ever walk into the house and go, hey everybody, how's it go? You know, like, but you see that all the time, right? You're trying to show up as someone you think you need to be, and it's just not the case. So that one thing for me is I really like the opinion of other people, and I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not, but that is like one superpower for me. And I've always done this way. Guys, I taught high school for 7 years. Literally quit on a whim to go open doggy pet stores, like moved across the country to go open like dog boutiques. People thought we were insane, crazy. Again, for me, that's what I felt compelled to do at that time. That was in my heart. And I think no one was going to necessarily tell me that I was doing it wrong, because that's what I felt I wanted to do. And I feel like with Beachbody and social media, that's one of those things where I'm going to show up as me. I really don't care what people think. And I think it's a huge advantage I have. People are like, oh, why there's not a lot of successful dudes in the business. I think sometimes guys are scared of getting vulnerable. You know, we're all scared of getting vulnerable. It's not, I don't want to sound sexist. But that's one of those things for me where you have to and this is my tip for you, is like, if you're not sure about how you're showing up on social, you need to ask someone to do an audit on your stuff, like do a social media. You guys have probably heard that before. But you got to ask someone who you trust, and you got to ask someone who's going to tell you the truth, and you can't get your feelings hurt by it, because that's the only way you're going to get a real honest answer of what you're doing. So that first sort of superpower, it's like, that's something I think you all kind of need to evaluate, because if you're not showing up authentically and you're worried about what people think, like, because when you worry about what people think, it affects how you show up. That authenticity meter for you, it starts to diminish, because actually people who know you, and even people who don't know you, they're going to call your bullshit because they're going to go, that's not her. That's not, I know her. That's not her. So there's no acting, guys. And that's the beautiful part about social media. That's the magic of social media, guys, is you don't have to be anything other than you. You were made for that role. Don't try to be other people. Just don't. And I know that comes from you thinking about, oh, what's so-and-so going to think? And you got to stop that stuff because it's killing your business. It's killing people being attracted to you, right? Because I'm one of those people, like I'm huge into energy and destiny, and you attract a certain type of person. Your energy's off. When you're not being yourself, it's totally out of alignment, and the people you attract or don't, it's just not going to happen that way. I think another one for me is like, I think I've always been really open-minded about stuff. And that's, I think, one of those things where in this business especially, it's like, I moved across the country to open a pet store. But I think it's also being open-minded enough to appreciate what this is. And I think you have to take it upon yourself, and you have to have the responsibility for your business to understand the parts of the business that maybe scare you a little bit. So it's a bit of that open-mindedness, but it's also a bit of that, if you can't articulate, if you can't share with someone else what this business is or how important it is to you, that's going to be tough for them to feel that sort of vibe and energy from what you're giving. So I can't remember if I said on the National Wake Up Call or not, but because it was a blur, but I don't think you have to know everything about genealogy. I don't think you have to know everything about the comp plan or anything like that. But I do think it's important you understand it enough so you feel comfortable, because again, consciously, subconsciously, you guys all know, how many people are you inviting to either your challenge group, or how many people are you inviting to the coach opportunity? And it can be one and the same. I mean, my whole thing is like, if I think someone would be good at the business, but they don't know what Beachbody is, I'm always like, hey, listen, we're not going to worry about the business. I want you to come in, try the programs, come to the accountability group, see how you like fall in love with that part of it, fall in love with how you feel. In 2 months, let's talk business. But if I think they're going to be good at the business, that's what I say. I'm like, we're going to focus on you first, get comfortable with everything, because I know you're going to love it. Then in 2 months, then we're going to talk about the business. But I tell them, I think you're going to crush this. But I don't throw them right into the deep end, right? I want them to, because my whole thing is like, if you can find somebody in Beachbody with coaching and in your challenge group, if you can find someone and get them to fall in love with how they feel, if you can get them to fall in love with how they feel, that is 95% of the battle, guys. It's 95% of the battle. Because if they fall in love with how they feel, they're gonna want to share that stuff. They're gonna want to share that stuff. And that goes to like how you're showing up in your challenge group and providing value and all those things, okay? So first skill for me, no F's given. I block out the white noise. Second thing, open-minded. I think you do have to understand some parts of the business to be comfortable with that. And then probably my number 3 superpower, and I told you I'd probably say this. The reality is that I will probably just outwork all of you. I just will. And I'm not trying to sound like an ass or anything like that. And man, I don't want to offend people. And I told Brett, like, I'm just going to speak from the heart. Because I'm willing to do it, and I'm just speaking generally here. So some of you may outwork me. That's great. I'm speaking generally here. Because I feel like I work hard. Not saying you don't, but because I know what I can do, I feel like there is a grit factor there for myself. There's a grit factor there that allows me to do it a little bit longer than other people. And that's all this is, because I always think in sports terms, like, it's easy for coaches to play up here for a day. Super easy. You can play up here. You can elevate your game for a day. It's super easy, right? Launch day, man, I had a great day and invited 20 people, and you can play up there for a day. You might even be able to do it for a week. You might even show up for a month and crush the game. Like, crush it. You may go 6 months. But can you do 4 years? I don't know. I know what the odds are. I know how many people throw in the towel before that, right? I know how many people take weeks and weeks and weeks off in those 4 years and then wonder why, shit, I don't know, people just not signing up anymore, right? It's like that credibility level, you know? And me coming from that an entrepreneur background, owning pet stores where you only get Christmas off, I didn't expect anything else. I didn't come into this thinking I was going to like not work hard at it. I didn't, like I said in the call, I was like, signed up for $50. I just didn't treat it like a $50 opportunity. I treated it like a massive opportunity, a life changer. And so maybe it's not even the fact that like I'll outwork you. Maybe it's the fact that I'll outwork you for a longer period of time. And that grit factor of showing up every damn day, that grit factor for me, because this is what happens, right? Patrick Reelman was on our team call years ago, and I never forgetted this about the escalator, right? You're trying to walk up an escalator that's coming down. So you're going, it's coming down, and you're trying to get up it and up it and up it. So you're working, and then you stop for a week. And then you start working and you're trying, and then you stop. Like, it's that escalator effect. That's like that credibility meter for all of you, that like you if you're wondering why people aren't gravitating towards what you're doing, well, what's that show up level like for you? How much? I'm not talking about working 16-hour days all the time. Kim and I started this business with 2 full-time corporate jobs, a 3 and a 6-year-old, and we got shit done. So you can fit it into the pockets. It's not what I'm talking about. But you ultimately have to make a decision. And I know how many people on the call, 57. I guarantee you, as I say these next words, some of you will eye roll the shit out of me, and that's okay. I don't care. Superpower number 1, I care about you, but I don't care about your lesser opinion about it. I know you're going to eye roll it, but it's like, I really honestly believe, sure, we all have different things we do well in a skill set and stuff like that. But I don't actually believe, don't get too offended, I don't actually believe a lot of coaches actually understand what entrepreneurship is. And that's part of the problem, because you do it for 3 months and it gets really hard and you stop, and then it's the opportunity doesn't work. Well, no, it's like maybe it's you that isn't working through that tough shit that you have to get through. Being an employee is an employee. Like, show up, give me my money, I'm going home, right? That is not what this is. It's just not. It's not. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I hope you've gotten the messages that other coaches get from people who've lost weight or changed their life or been able to make enough income to impact their family and stuff, because the payoff and the benefits of all that are so incredible that, like, I would do like I've never worked harder in my life than the last 6 years. Not even close. Not even close. And I had my own company before that I invested a ton of money in, way more than $50. I would do it over again. I would do it 10 times over again for the give back it's provided my family and my life. This business has so many redeeming qualities about it, so many, that it's almost like a make-believe industry and job that you can actually have, that other ones in the world, they just can't do it in those roles. You just can't. You don't get messages that we get from people in other jobs. Maybe, personal trainer, things like that. I'm sure they get similar stuff. But good God, for the opportunity that this is, for what it costs, it is really beautiful. It's really beautiful. We had a team call last night, and I cried on it. Kim cried. Other coaches cried because we had one of those calls where we just wanted people to share their experience with coaching in Beachbody, and it was insane. And I like to do those calls every now and then because it really takes you back to why we all do this stuff and how privileged we are and the gratitude that I feel to get to do this every day. But I want to encourage all of you, like, I know what it's like I remember going to my first summit in 2015, Nashville, I think it was. And I drove down in my Jeep from Canada and I had no one with me. I was just by myself. And I told this to our team last night. That's where I'm going with this. I drove down by myself, no team, didn't really know anyone. I knew some people from my upline and stuff, but not a lot. And I remember walking around the corner and Brett, maybe you started after me. The elite gifts were beautiful guitars that year, like amazing guitars with their names on it. I was like, I want one of those. How do I get it? Oh, that's elite. Okay, what's elite? That's what I want next year. They were not guitars the next year. They were like not even close. But I remember going with no one. I remember my first team call. It was like there were 3 or 4 of us. There was like Kim, my brother, and one other person. There were like 3 Fitzpatricks and some other person who's not coaching anymore. But we all start in a certain spot. And I said to my team last night, I said, and I've said this multiple times, I hope you all have the blessing and the feeling of what it's like to be able to shout out coaches, to be able to have a team call and invite guest speakers on, to be able to watch your coach walk across the stage one day again, right, guys? To, go to a Success Club party and get to see some of your coaches and your team being celebrated and all that stuff. Like, for me, that's this part of the business that I'm in love with, is seeing my coaches succeed. And I'm going to be honest with you. I started off like everyone, challengers, accountability group. Kim primarily runs our accountability group now. It's not my favorite part of the business. Shocking, I know. But coaching, like helping people build a business and earn income, like that's my thing. That's what I get the most joy out of this business from. And I always tell them, I'm like, I hope you get to feel what it feels like to have a team that's doing stuff like that. And just 1 or 2 coaches even that are like hitting stuff and showing up and hitting Success Club. Like, that's the magic, is when you find people to run with, when you find people on your team to run with, there's a switch in your business. There's a switch in the joy component in this business. When you have people that are willing to like step up with you on the same platform and be like, let's do this together. Let's go. Let's run. It is. And I know some of you on this call haven't found that yet. But what I want to tell you is that doesn't just happen. That doesn't just happen. I'm reading the chat. Everything that you do in this business every day, everything in this business that you do every single day is going to determine who you attract. It just is. That's the way this thing works. I don't know a lot. I feel like this is one thing I get. This is one thing I get. Ask yourself, right? Would you sign up with you today? Good question, right? Would you sign up with you today? Are you doing all the things in this business, the daily activities, the business activity tracker, all those things that you're doing? Because if you didn't immediately go, shit, yeah, of course I'm the model, I'm the mentor that I'm supposed to be right now, right? Gut punch. I know. I'm not trying to make you like, I don't want anyone to feel bad, but this is self-awareness 101. Self-awareness 101. Because being self-aware is a really valuable skill. Can't attract anyone. No one wants to do this stuff with me. Don't know. Are you doing it? I don't know. Are you showing up as your best self? Are you showing up as the best coach? Are you showing up as the mentor that anyone watching your social media and whatever else you're doing, do they go, that, whatever that person's doing, I want some of that? because they're not signing up with people because they're in the best shape. They're not. People are signing up with other people because of energy and the energy you put out there and the activities you do every day. They have a perception of what you're doing and what does that look like to other people, you know? And I think it's like a bank account. I think every day you show up in this business and you show up authentically and you do your business activity tracker. And I know I sound like Carl, and I know you're sick of hearing the BAT. I am too. I'm sick of talking about it. But I had someone, one of my coaches today, they messaged me about an hour before the call and they're like, I need you to help me find my groove. Find my groove, Jamie. I can't find my groove. And I was like, what's a groove? What's your groove? What is that? What are you like? This isn't 1968. What do you mean? What's a groove? Explain that one to me. And I'm nice, but I said like, what do you mean? Like, it's just, no one's interested in what I'm doing. And I feel like they're not paying attention to what I'm saying. And I said to her, I said, hey, send me your last 5 conversations you've had with someone and send me your last week of your business activity tracker. Yeah, I don't have any of that. Oh shit, what a shocker, right? Wow. And this is how I view it, because I talk to my team this way. I was just thinking to myself, I probably sound like a real hard ass. I'm not. I'm very loving with my team, men and women. But I'm like, all of your time is important, right? All of my time is important. Time, we have kids, like like your time is important. If you're going to message me and tell me it's not working for you, but yet you're not doing the fundamental easiest things, but you have the gall to waste my time to message me because you want me to tell you what to do, I'm going to call you out on that. I'm sorry. I'm not your manager. I'm not your boss. I'm not here to I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'll be the best mentor you have, but you got to meet me somewhere. You can't just message me out of the blue and say you need help to get your groove back, but you're not doing anything. You're not doing the basics, right? Like, if you got paid to do this business, I always say, like, doing the business activity tracker, it's just like if you have an office job or you go to work, it's basically the basics of you're just stepping in the office to say hi to everyone. You came in at 9 a.m. So you've done the business activity tracker. You're just coming in the door and going, okay, I'm showing up for work today. I'm here. After that, then there's other stuff you have to do at work, right? So what, and here's a question. Again, with all the respect, do you deserve coaches? Ooh, sometimes that sounds awful when I say it out loud like that. But like, do you deserve coaches, right? And that goes back to my last thing. I feel like I'm getting dagger eyes from a few of you, and that's okay. I can kind of feel them. There's some of you are like, oh, this guy, I'm not sure how I feel about him. But like, when I say that, it's back to that my last point. It's like how you show up. Like, are you deserving of, how some people are like, oh man, how did they get that coach? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. Karma's a bitch, right? Goes both ways. Energy's interesting. I know what I've done the last 6 years in this business every day. I know how much I've sweat. I know how much shit I've been through. Have you? Right? So I kind of want you to sort of think in those terms as well, as like, what are you attracting in your business? Because you're attracting exactly what you deserve. Maybe not always 100%, but for the most part, that tends to be how things work out. Okay? That was a long rant, long point. One of the last things I want to talk about. My main thing with that, guys, is honestly, cross those in heaven. My point of all that, and I hope you don't think I'm just bullshitting you. I I don't feel like, and I think Kim is really similar. She was going to try to hop on here quickly if she's around, but I like when I signed up as a coach, Kim wanted nothing to do with this. She was climbing the corporate ladder. And she really was like, I know she thought this was beneath her. So 6 months went by. She was finally in the accountability group and stuff, and she fell in love with it, which is the key. And it's sort of like she taught me a lot about how I actually understood how people. I always thought everybody wanted to do this business. I always thought everyone would want to do this business, but I didn't understand maybe sometimes the perception. So she taught me a lot about that. And I think for Kim and I, we sort of operate in similar ways where, again, back to my original point, I don't think we're overly skilled. And my point is not to like talk about that too much, but I hope you understand that all the quote unquote top coaches, whatever you think that is, with the credentials and stuff, and I really mean this, I hope you don't think I'm BSing you. I don't think they're that much different than you. I don't think they're that much different than any of us. In fact, Britt may not say this out loud. I know a lot of the top coaches. There's some of them where I would be like, how did you get to that position in the company? And honestly, you're like, wow, and I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but I think sometimes, you're your own worst enemy. You put up your own blocks. You think you're not deserving of success or worthy of success. It's not that you don't have the skill set or anything like that. I think there's a few X factors that you need to focus on. Not what you're not good at, not maybe what you're the most skilled at. Don't think about what you haven't done in your past or have done in your past or anything like that. Oh, I'm not good on social media. So get better, go practice, do it more. It's not rocket science. Do it more. The things that you're not good at, go do them more. Go do those things more that you feel weak in, right? So all those things, guys, because if you look at the top 50 coaches in the network, they're all different. They all have different personalities. They're all from different backgrounds, and all that stuff is different. So you can't say, oh, that works because they're like, everyone's different, guys. It all works differently. Britt builds her business differently than I do. It's just the way it works, right? But there's some X factors here. There's some real X factors here. And I want you to really think about the respect level you give your business, because I think that's important. I want you to think about your commitment level to this business, because I think that's uber important. And my challenge for you is really to see what happens in your business when you show up every day in 2021. And that's a challenge for each of you. I'm not talking about for 360 days. Okay? I'm not talking about 360 days. Literally, why don't you see what happens? Why don't you see what happens for 365 days? Maybe Christmas. I'm not talking about 8 hours a day. And when I say show up, I don't mean just social media. I mean all the components. Social, inviting, follow-ups, in your challenge group, focus on your launches, know your calendar, show up on team calls. Yeah, you're gonna miss some, you'll watch a recording, do your PD, all that stuff. 365 days. See what happens. See what happens. That's my challenge for you. And this isn't, I'm not asking any of you to go to war. I'm asking you to coach. I'm asking you to drink a milkshake every morning and reach out to people and help them, right? So let's not over dramatize. Dramatize, is that a word? I don't know, I'm making it a word. Don't make this a big thing where, oh my God, that's a lot. Guys, there's people go through really hard things all the time. Showing up in this business for a full year is not hard. I'm finger waving now. It's not hard. It's just not. It's not. It's just your commitment level isn't up here. That's all it is. Because all of you, did I lose anyone? I lost a few. That's okay. All of you 48 people on this call, all of you, including myself, have done way harder things than coaching. Way harder things. Like guys, the things that we've all been through in our life, not even close to coaching. So much harder. You just got to make a choice to see what fucking happens in your business when you show up for an extended period of time. That's it. And then after a year, and even a year's not long enough, but I didn't want to say 2 or 3 years because I'll lose all of you. Then make a decision what you want to do. Then make a decision. It doesn't work for me. It's working for me. Holy shit. I'm building a business. I'm actually attracting people, right? Just make a freaking commitment to yourself and see what happens. My biggest pet peeve is untapped potential. It is my biggest freaking pet peeve in people. And it's none of my business whether they live to their potential or not. It's not. This is like a flaw of mine. I see people, there's probably 50 to 100 coaches on our team page who've canceled their coach account, left the team page the last 6 years. Guarantee you there's probably 50 of them. When I see them leave, I'm just like, that woman had no clue she just gave up a 6-figure business. Not everyone, but that happens all the time on our team. People cancel. I'm like, man, she just didn't quite click it. She didn't show up long enough, hard enough, and didn't respect this business enough. That happens a lot. It happens a lot. So 2021 is my challenge to you. It's my challenge to you. Show up every damn day. And if you want to put in your calendar, okay, take inventory of where you are in your business right now. And there's some cool stuff coming with Beachbody, guys. Really cool stuff. I can't tell you, but it's coming, okay? I'm on cab, I know. So 2021, if you want to put it in your phone right now, a year from now, okay? A year from now, whether it's rank, income, whatever your goals are, and I'm expecting messages from you, okay? You're going to message me in a year from tonight, and you're going to tell me how much you grew because you showed up every day in 2021, okay? I've never done this on a team call before, so I want messages from you. Be here in a year and let's see what happens, because untapped potential just drives me crazy. Trust me, guys. Anything can happen to any of us tomorrow. I know more than anyone. Life can be fleeting. It can be quick. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't think happiness comes from hitting 5-star diamond. I don't think happiness comes from earning $1 million. This is going to sound weird to you, but I don't think happiness, your kids don't make you happy. Your spouse won't make you happy. Your job won't make you happy. I don't even think coaching is going to make you happy. What I think makes people happy is actually challenging themselves to things and eventually accomplishing the things that maybe you thought you couldn't do. And that can be in all avenues of your life. It doesn't have to be coaching. But this business affords you that opportunity. It gives you that chance to do something quote unquote hard for yourself, for your family, for your team, for you, your kids, all that stuff. This gives you an opportunity. That's where I think happiness comes from. I really do. I think it comes from challenging yourself and reaching your potential in whatever avenue of life it is. I think that's where happiness comes from, because it gives you a platform for yourself to grow, right? It gives you a purpose. It really gives you a purpose, and it's something for you that you own, that you can guide and control, right? So 2021, I think goals are great. I think vision is great. We use those two words way too often. I'm guilty of it too, because what does that even mean, right? So in 2021, talk about your goals, talk about your vision, put them on sticky notes around your computer, whatever you do. But more than goals and more than vision, I really want you to elevate, okay, your standards for yourself and your business. Set some standards for yourself. Okay? What does that look like to you? Is it a standard of excellence? Is it a standard of inconsistency? What's the standard for yourself? Like, we all have standards in life. I have a standard as a husband to Kim. I have to live up to a certain standard, not hers. Well, a little bit hers, let's be honest. But my standard for me as a husband, right? I have a standard. My parenting with my son and my daughter, there's a standard I live up to. So I like to think it's a standard of excellence of parenting for me. I try my best. We F up like everybody else. There's no manual to parenting, but like, I feel like I do my best at parenting. I try to show up every day, you know? This business, what is your standard you're going to set for yourself? Because ultimately, guys, you choosing a goal isn't what's going to make you get to the goal. You having a vision or a vision board, which I believe in, we do them all the time with our team. Having a vision board is important, but having a vision board isn't going to make those things true. Your standard that you set for yourself is going to determine how you show up every day. Because if the standard's high enough and you respect yourself in this business, yourself and this business, you will have no choice but to show up every day, because that's your standard. That's what you've put in front of you to do. That's what a standard is. A standard isn't something you're just like, whatever. A standard is like in freaking cement. Like, boom. And stick to that. Aren't you curious? Again, I'm generalizing, but like, aren't you curious? Wouldn't you love to like go 3 years into the future? Like, if you show up in this business every day, all the things we've talked about tonight, would you love just a time machine, 365 days a year for 3 straight years to see where you'd be in 3 years? I bet it would shock the shit out of all of you. It would shock the shit out of all of you. But we can't do that. And that's why sometimes people don't go long enough or hard enough, because we don't have that obvious vision, right? Right? And again, I'm not saying you all aren't working hard. I don't want you to think, oh, Jamie came on and said we're not working hard. I'm just trying to get you to think about stuff. And you each have to evaluate your own situation and your own work ethic and your own standard that you've set for yourself, right? And guys, I'll say this last, always, because I'm a dude, I try to talk about these things. Your spouse, I don't know if, let's do questions because we're almost out of time, and your spouse, guys, if any of your spouses or guys or women, I don't want to be sexist or anything like that, they have any questions for me, because I know sometimes it's hard for them to understand this business and stuff. I always put this offer out. They can reach out to me, ask me any questions about maybe how they want to get involved. And no, they don't have to be on social media or anything like that. But if they have any questions for me, feel free to have them message me on Instagram. I'll help them out. Because I think that's one of the things that stops them, right? Is they think they have to be a certain way. They think maybe they have to do a certain things, and that's just not the case. It's typically back office stuff they can help with. But if they have any questions like that, they can reach out to me. I'm happy to help and happy to answer where I can. And at the same time, it's like, if they don't support you, your spouse, it's a tough one, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but, you know, if you're taking away, and this is my tough love thing, if you're taking time away from your family and your relationship and stuff like that, 2 things, you should be all in on this, because if you're not, you're giving him or her the reason to question what you're doing. Sorry, you know, are you dabbling in this, right? Because that's a tough one, because they're like, he doesn't support me. Well, change his mind, right? And that's part of that showing up. So sorry, I went way over time, Brett.
No, this was so good. I know that I needed to hear it. It's been a rough year around here, and just falling back in love with my own journey, like our new coaches. Like, if you've struggled this year with your own journey, that's where you got to start. Find your joy in your own journey again, you know, and that consistency that has gotten lost in the Groundhog's Day of 2020. So it was really good. Whitney says Tony's yelling from the other room. I support you.
Any questions? Kim's here. She wants to
Kim's
say
here.
She wants to say hi.
Hi, friends.
She's very shy.
Hi. So, guys, I need to tell you something. I was sitting upstairs going live in my client group, and the decibel of Jamie's level of engagement and excitement was so loud. I was like, you're screaming through the roof. Like, you're screaming through the floor. But this is the thing. Jamie brings the passion. I want to say, can I have 2 minutes?
Please, yes.
Can I have 2 minutes, guys? Okay. So here's the thing. We are about to walk out of 2020. And you've got not 8 days? 8 days? Right?
3, 4. Carry the 7, 3, 1, 9.
9. Okay, good. I don't even know. I don't do math. But here's the thing. You have 9 days left in this year, and you are on one of the best teams in the entire network with such an incredibly strong leadership team. And that includes all of you, because everybody is in this together and you are stronger together. And what I hope happens in the next 9 days is that you give everything that you have. So you walk into next year more set up for success, and not wishing that you would, I wish I had followed up with that one person, or I wish I'd just do those things and lean in right now, because what you do right now in the next 9 days, how you exit out of 2020 is entirely how you're going to dictate what your 2021 plan will look like, and what your team will look like, and the energy you're walking in with, and the commitment you're walking in with, and the faith you're walking in with. And I want you to remember that, because I think it's so easy, especially like we're walking into another lockdown. It is so easy to retreat. Mm-hmm. It is so easy to retreat. It is easy to crumble, because life and the world, it's traumatic, guys. It's hard, like capital T. And I just want to honor that right now. And in that same breath, leaders are born through crisis. And the more you lean in right now, and the more you serve right now, and the more you are a light, a freaking lighthouse, which you are, that's what the world needs right now. Mm-hmm. So I just want to remind you of that. You're all incredibly capable and worthy and equipped. And I want you to know that. I just need you to know that and hear that, because that's what I think gets in the way a lot.
Jamie gave us a lot of tough love. Kim came in with the hug at the end.
Yeah, like Olaf.
Always works that way.
I'm a bit like Olaf, you know, like just I like warm hugs, and
you needed that too.
But come on, like claim that, right? And I always say this too. It's like, we've been through one of the hardest years of our lives, and you know, I'm fairly sure that I put my stake in the ground 368 days. Like, of a year. That isn't even possible, but that's how many times. Some days it was twice a day that I'm drawing my line in the sand. I'm going to eat healthy. Right? Like every day you can kind of be at a battle. And one of the things, the last thing I will say, and I have this tattooed on my arm, it says, everything is data. Everything is data. And if you think of everything as data, you can't have self-judgment, because it's numbers, and facts and data and numbers count. So if you stop judging yourself, if you start having data based on your business activity tracker, and you start leaning into the conversations, and you are seeing that you are serving more women, you have data that you are hitting the mark, and you are nailing your brand, and you are being authentically you, and you are stepping into your calling, and you are walking in your light. And that shit, people can't keep their eyes off you. So let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
At the beginning of the call, Jamie said, if you don't feel empowered to go out and work after this call, then his job is not done. But I feel
I helped him.
Right? It's time to work, you guys. We have 9 days left in the year. I just had a conversation with someone this week that they were like, I'll be back in January. She's had Success Club 10 like 8 months in a row. And she's like, it's been a hard month. And I'm like, first of all, the customer launch hasn't even happened yet. Why are we writing off December? Some of my best months have been December up until the 31st, pushing for something. Transform 20 launched. Like last year, was crazy, or 2 years ago, like no matter what this year has looked like for you guys, like right now, Like right now is your day one of your 365, because we're all going to message Jamie next year and tell him what we accomplished in those 365 days. And you're going to get that reminder if you didn't show up, and you're going to be like, damn. And it's going to be reminding you of this moment. And you're going to be like, wonder what could have happened if I showed up. Not when there was a launch, not when it was convenient, not when you had babysitters, not when everyone was healthy and happy, but every day in between. So this was amazing. Thank you guys both. Thanks for hopping on, Kim. Thank you for your time, Jamie. Even when shit gets weird, that's what me and Amy always said. You show up when shit gets weird. When budgets are weird, when launches are weird, when shipping's weird, show up through the weird shit. It is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sarah says December 26th through 31 is prime. It is. It is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking on like hitting SE50 again, like from those days.
Yeah.
Like those are, you can move mountains on the 26th to the 31st. You just have to be making the connections now.
You have to be showing up now so that on the 26th.
You can't go to bed until you've connected with everyone, because when you go to invite them on the 26th and they haven't heard from you before, they're going to say no. Yeah. So go connect. Let's go.
100%. Thank you guys so much. We'll leave.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, guys.
Miss you, Britt.
See
Bye.
ya.